Hi, everybody, and welcome back to our next session. In this session, we will talk about Agile portfolio management, and the speaker is Gary Sigma. Gary has, and I, as well as panels, we go pretty far back working on the various standards for PMI. In this case, Gary was the co-chair for the last edition, or the current edition, I should say, of the portfolio management standard, as well as the risk management, global risk standard as well. So I have the pleasure of introducing Gary. Now, Gary, in addition to working project management, program management, portfolio management, he's really a active and avid writer. He's an author and subject matter experts on a variety of topics related to project management, including risk, portfolio management, change management, and as well as implementing organization project management. So with that said, I'm now going to introduce Gary. Gary, it's all yours.
Thank you, T. I appreciate the introduction, and good day to everybody, all the attendees. As T mentioned, my name is Gary Sigma. I've been involved in portfolio management for nearly 3 decades, and I've been leveraging Agile portfolio management for about the last 7 years. I work from my office in Minnesota, supporting worldwide portfolios with active projects in 81 countries. Feel free to put your questions in the Q&A section during my presentation. And while I can attempt to answer some of them as we go, it might be best to respond at the end of the presentation. So reflecting on back to January 2020. I know in looking at our corporate portfolios, if you would consider your corporate portfolio that you had back in January of 2020, the strategies, the objectives, everything that you were planning for the year, whatever you had on the radar, I can almost guarantee that by June of that same year, the original objectives experienced some significant change and were possibly even thrown out. COVID created much change in a very short amount of time. It was remarkable how the plans at the beginning of the year suddenly had to change as the effects of worldwide pandemic and the attempts to keep the virus from spreading, maybe even things like going to the office to perform your job, all of those things had changed. Companies and organizations were scrambling to adjust to this paradigm shift. Where once travel was a mainstay of the business, it was now only on rare occasions that people were traveling to meet with clients. Developers or project teams, we were all adapting to the world of Zoom and other conference call mechanisms. Retailers were scrambling to ensure that their products could get to the consumer. New businesses were emerging. Home delivery services for grocery stores, fast food restaurants, even elite restaurants had to make changes that didn't insist on the customers coming to them. In a world faced with ever-changing variables, it was essential for executive leaderships and the rest of the organization to become and stay nimble and adapt to the shifting environment while keeping the eye on the strategic direction. In summary, we will explore key concepts of Agile portfolio management, including history, principles, benefits, risks, and best practices. Here is a kind of a brief outline of what we'll be looking at as we go through today. The title, reflecting on the title of this presentation, thinking about pivoting with purpose, as we look at in the United States with the NBA finals, pivoting is a huge part of the game. It's important to be able to pivot to better face the goal. It might be a reaction to the defense approaching and attacking, that you need to pivot in order to defend your role, your position. And likewise in business, we need to be able to pivot to react quickly, adeptly, and smartly to the changing environments that we're faced with. So we're going to start off with a brief history of Agile. As a foundation for our discussion today, it would be beneficial to share some of the background information. Agile, simply put, is a philosophy for managing teams and projects. It is an umbrella term encompassing several methodologies, including Scrum, Kanban, or extreme programming practices. Many of the practitioners of these models came together and developed the Agile Manifesto. For those of you familiar with the content, it is clear to see that the authors were primarily concerned with software development. But as I have come to realize over the years, the applications of this manifesto over a wide range of levels, as well as production verticals. The Agile Manifesto is a set of guiding values and 12 principles originally designed for developing software iteratively and collaboratively. In 2001, the authors primarily were software developers who were frustrated with the traditional development methodologies, and they felt they were too slow and inflexible. And while the original intent was to solve problems facing programmers, they developed a multifaceted solution for various teams and purposes. These are the 4 key or core values that the manifesto, that the team developing the manifesto kind of developed first. And this was where they really were focusing on individuals. They were working on, in our case, working solutions. They called it working software, but definitely the priority is working solutions. They looked at customer collaboration. They also looked at responding to change over following the plan. Well, the Agile Manifesto is usable across several management levels, ranging from team management to governance of board of directors. It is not a panacea. Every implementation of Agile has come with its own set of benefits and challenges. Because the original design was for smaller teams, it can be problematic when scaling to larger teams, more than 10 members. The 12 principles of the Agile Manifesto expand on these values that I listed on the previous slide. They include principles such as welcoming change requirements, even late in development, and deliver working software frequently with reference to the shorter time scale. The same concept, regardless of the types of projects you have in your portfolio, it don't have to be software, but to iteratively develop and deliver to the customer is vital. Agile portfolio management is a framework that enables organizations to achieve their business goals by effectively managing their portfolio of projects and programs. This approach is based on the principles of the Agile methodology, which emphasizes collaboration, flexibility, and continuous improvement. And as both T and Panos talked about earlier, it's really important to go fast. And an expression that I like to use is to fail fast. So if you keep things small, if you keep them tight, before you scale to the mega, as Panos talked about, you can definitely have the opportunity to find your mistakes, react to them, and follow that continuous improvement methodology. The key principles of Agile portfolio management is our next section. Agile portfolio management embodies key principles that drive successful project delivery and adaptation in today's dynamic business environment. By prioritizing flexibility, collaboration, and iterative decision-making, Agile portfolio management enables organizations to respond rapidly to changing market demands, optimize resource allocation, and deliver customer value efficiently. This approach fosters a culture of continuous improvement, empowers teams to make informed decisions, and promotes transparency and accountability throughout the portfolio. As we proceed, we're going to explore the fundamental principles underpinning Agile portfolio management and their significance in driving organizational success. So we'll start with focus on value. Agile portfolio management focuses on delivering value to the organization and its stakeholders. This requires a clear understanding of the organization's business goals and objectives. It's also important to understand your customers' needs and what drives their MO, their method of operation, modus operandi. The next one is embracing change. Agile portfolio management embraces change and recognizes that requirements and priorities can shift over time, and sometimes they can shift very rapidly. This requires flexibility and adaptability in the management of projects and programs. As we saw at the onset of the worldwide pandemic that we faced, we had to, nearly all organizations, or at least the ones who stayed afloat, had to adapt quickly. Schools had to adapt and adjust. Governments had to adjust and make clear the change in how they were operating and under what set of guidelines. And those guidelines changed month to month. Setting up for organizations who did meet periodically took considerable amount of time. We had to set up outdoor venues in order to have a number of people, more than 15 people meeting at a time in Minnesota. So that there were many challenges that we faced, but we had to adapt. We had to embrace those changes rapidly and often. Fostering collaboration. Agile portfolio management emphasizes collaboration among teams and all stakeholders. And this can be a real struggle for some executives who have historically been unable to empower their teams and subordinates to make critical, timely decisions. But in the end, this enables better decision-making and ensures that everyone is working towards the same goals. Again, it's not just collaboration amongst the team, but also with your customer, your client, your key stakeholders, knowing that their needs are as well changing and fluctuating. Prioritizing work. Agile portfolio management prioritizes work based on its value to the organization. This helps ensure that resources are used effectively and that most important projects are completed first. Now, there was a question in the last section about prioritization and how do you prioritize those things? How do you prioritize the projects within your portfolio? And I'll just say that as a broad stroke response to that question within the world of Agile portfolio management, it's vital to keep to a few key fundamental strategic goals that you're trying to achieve within your what's the purpose of your portfolio. Understanding what those key things are, make it self-evident to the team what their priorities need to be. The next thing is managing flow. Agile portfolio management focuses on managing the flow of work throughput through the organization. This requires a clear understanding of the organization's capacity and resources. And as we talked about, all of these build on each other. So as we focus on value, embrace change, as we're fostering collaboration and prioritizing our work, managing the flow of the work helps us to get pieces of the entire project ready to get out the door and give to the customer or our partner or whoever our stakeholder is, to start allowing them to add value to their organizations immediately. Visualizing work. Agile portfolio management emphasizes the visualization of work. This enables better communication and collaboration among teams and stakeholders. You know, it's so vital to not only be able to show, for instance, what your backlog of projects that haven't been started yet or are in the process and have been for a while, but also to reflect on the wins that your team have been able to accomplish. When you have been able to eradicate a problem that your projects are resolving, it's good to show a map, to show a balance of accomplishments, to show anything that puts that in a visual context. And this goes back to another question from Panos's is value. Now the question specifically was in the a value of a PFMP, but there's also the question of a well-managed portfolio and whether it's an agile portfolio or a traditional portfolio. The value is often not shared broadly enough because we don't share our wins. So it's also important to visualize those things and make that apparent to not only our customers, but also to your internal teams as well. So what are the benefits of agile portfolio management? Now we've talked a little bit about the benefits of portfolio management itself. And quite frankly, whether you have a formal portfolio management process or not in your organization, every organization has a portfolio. It might be that somebody has gone around and taken a clipboard and listed out all the projects that the organization is working on. In fact, one of my first forays into portfolio management was a huge not-for-profit long-term healthcare organization in the United States that was in 24 states. And they had all kinds of projects going on. But quite frankly, no one person knew, even the president and his executive leadership team had no clue the breadth and the depth of all the projects that they were doing or the purpose of them. So whether you have a formal portfolio management process or not, you do have a portfolio of projects. So agile portfolio management offers numerous benefits to organizations seeking to navigate the complexities of modern business landscapes. Organizations that respond swiftly to market shifts, customer demands, and emerging opportunities by embracing agility and adaptability. Don't know why I'm struggling with remembering that word. This approach promotes efficient resource allocation, it mitigates risks, and fosters innovation. Agile portfolio management empowers teams to collaborate, make informed decisions, and deliver value incrementally, resulting in improved customer satisfaction, enhanced competitive advantage. Furthermore, it cultivates a culture of continuous improvement and learning, enabling organizations to stay ahead of the curve and to thrive in an ever-evolving marketplace. As we go along, we will delve into the various advantages of Agile portfolio management, illustrating the transformative potential for organizations across industries. So our first one is better alignment with business goals. Agile portfolio management enables organizations to align their project and program portfolios with business goals and objectives. This helps ensure that projects deliver value to the organization and that resources are used effectively. Improved project visibility. And this goes back to the previous slide where we talked about the importance of visibility. But organizations can gain greater visibility into their project program portfolios by using Agile portfolio management. This enables them to identify issues and risks early and to take corrective action. As I said earlier, it's, I like to go by the precept of fail fast. If it is inevitable that not every project is going to be a success. We've seen the statistics of that over the decades, that projects do fail. And as Panos pointed out in the last presentation, even if they're failing, sometimes executives or customers want to continue to push through. But increasing the visibility of this and enabling them to make the smart choice to fail fast really is vital to maintaining a healthy, flourishing Agile portfolio. Greater flexibility. Agile portfolio management enables organizations to be more flexible and adaptive in their project and program management approach. This allows them to respond quickly to changing business needs and customer requirements. Enhanced collaboration. Agile portfolio management fosters collaboration among teams and stakeholders, leading to better decision-making and more effective project outcomes. One of the things I used to teach graduate students was that as soon as you stop talking to your customer, your primary stakeholder, the expectation of the outcome of your project or program starts to escalate and go up incrementally, while the original expectation might have been for something that's mainstream and possible. As soon as you stop communicating and especially collaborating with your team and stakeholders, the ability of the project to perform, the gap widens between expectations and what will be reality. So that's where that continuous collaboration is so vital. And that's not just in Agile portfolio management. That is vital throughout project, program, and portfolio management. Lack of communication is a killer for customer satisfaction. The last one is continuous improvement. Agile portfolio management emphasizes continuous improvement, enabling organizations to learn from their experiences and change their project and program portfolios as needed. We have even found that in our charter, we don't call them charters, but in the charters that we develop for our projects, they are always under constant evaluation. Not that we change them all the time, but that we're always evaluating. Are we asking the right questions? Are we asking the right people? Are we involving the right teams and not just looking at it from a myopic perspective that gives us a too narrow of a focus and forces early change before we move on? Of course, another one of the books that I was chair on for Project Management Institute was the current risk in project portfolio and program management. So risk is near and dear to my heart. And of course, with every good thing, you have to understand that there are always risks that come along with it. So while Agile portfolio management offers numerous benefits, it is essential to acknowledge the potential risks and challenges associated with its implementation. Embracing agility within portfolio management requires a shift in mindset, processes, and organizational structure, which can be disruptive and it can be met with resistance. As a previous question stated, some of those executives and sponsors and champions can be lukewarm and sitting on the fence. Agile practices, iterative and adaptive nature may introduce uncertainty, making it challenging to plan and estimate project timelines and resource allocations accurately. Moreover, prioritizing speed and flexibility can sometimes lead to compromises in quality or neglect strategic alignment. Effective communication and collaboration become crucial in mitigating these risks, as inadequate coordination among teams and stakeholders may result in misalignment, conflicting priorities, and suboptimal decision-making. Recognizing these risks and implementing appropriate measures is crucial to implement Agile portfolio management practices successfully. So the first is lack of predictability. Agile portfolio management relies on short-term planning and flexibility execution, making it difficult to predict project timelines, costs, and outcomes accurately. I know a lot of what we do within our project charters in Agile, in our Agile portfolio, is to look at what the project goals are, but also to look ahead at what the long-term goals are that you're planning to achieve. So in other words, this project is a stepping stone, but to what? And that also helps to maintain that alignment and strategic focus. Difficulty in managing dependencies. With multiple projects running concurrently and using Agile methodologies, it can be challenging to manage dependencies between them, particularly if there are competing priorities or changes in project scope. Depending on what types of projects you keep within your portfolio, this can be significant, especially when you have end to start relationships where a project has to end before another starts. All those kind of dependencies are vital to constantly look at. Again, communication between project teams, the Agile teams, and also the people responsible for managing the portfolio. Inadequate prioritization. In an Agile portfolio, project priorities are often determined by the stakeholders. But if stakeholders have different priorities, it can be challenging to align them, leading to delays and conflict. And of course, part and parcel of being a portfolio management is also being a good negotiator, a good conflict resolution master. Always be on your toes to observe for potential conflicts that you may need to navigate. Potential for scope creep. Agile methodologies prioritize responding to change over following a plan, which can lead to scope creep, where additional requirements are added during the project, leading to delays and increased costs. Yeah, this is a challenge in any project, let alone those following an agile methodology. So knowing it's there and knowing the risks that are inherent with that, with the potential scope creep, it's just something to keep your eye on. A lack of standardization. Agile portfolio management can result in inconsistency across projects, particularly if there is no standard approach or methodology, making measuring and reporting progress difficult. And that's, that's always something to go back to. What are the priorities of the board of directors or the executive leadership team who is responsible for the portfolio? It's also important to understand how those strategic goals are being satisfied by the projects within your portfolio. So keeping your eye on those strategies, on the strategic objectives, keeping them again, that constant communication and collaboration between the executive leadership, your customers, the project team, all so very vital in all of this. Reduced visibility. Okay, so previously I noted that visibility was an advantage in agile portfolio management, but there is also the risk of reduced visibility. And this is again, agile portfolio management can make it difficult to gain a holistic view of the entire project portfolio, particularly if projects are managed independently, making it harder to track progress and make strategic decisions, as I mentioned in the lack of standardization prior to this. But again, keeping your eye on the ball and making sure that you are communicating both in progress as well as the successful projects that have been accomplished, so vital to maintaining that visibility and also the value. To mitigate these risks, it's essential to establish clear project prioritization criteria, establish effective communication channels, and ensure alignment of stakeholders and implement standard processes and methodology. So even though you are in an agile environment and using agile methodologies within your projects, it is still important to be consistent and have those standards that you're living up to, that to have that consistency. Even if you're adapting to change frequently, even if you're adapting to changing needs because of the environment, because of the customer, because of the customers of your customer. Regardless of all of that, it is important to stay to those fundamental things. And that's why, just like we do within our chartering process, how we constantly evaluate our chartering process, we also look at the overall processes that our project teams adhere to. Are they effective? Are they inhibiting? Are they promoting collaboration? Are they promoting communication between all parties? Constant and continuous improvement is vital in this. So we'll move along to some best practices. Organizations should adhere to best practices that optimize efficiency, collaboration, and value delivery to achieve successful outcomes in agile portfolio management. First and foremost, establishing clear strategic goals and priorities is crucial to align projects and initiatives with the organization's overall objectives. You heard both T and Panos allude to this earlier. this is vital, and you'll probably hear it again as we go out throughout the day. Regular communication and collaboration among stakeholders help ensure transparency and a shared understanding of the portfolio's progress and direction. Agile portfolio management also emphasizes iterative planning and adaptive decision-making, allowing flexibility and responsiveness to changing market conditions. Implementing effective governance mechanisms, such as regular portfolio reviews and feedback loops, enables continuous improvement and optimizes resources. Additionally, fostering a culture of empowerment and trust, where teams are encouraged to take ownership and experiment, leads to greater innovation and efficiency. Again, not to beat a dead horse, but learn to fail fast and take that innovative, creative approach. By adhering to these best practices, organizations can maximize the benefits of Agile portfolio management and achieve their strategic objectives effectively. Panos mentioned this too, but executive leadership buy-in. The first step in Agile portfolio management, or any portfolio management, is to ensure that executive leadership has buy-in. This is vital to the success of this objective, and I have found having more than one champion is also very beneficial. Define clear business goals. I talked about this earlier, but this next step in Agile portfolio management is to define those clear business goals and objectives. This provides a framework for prioritizing work and ensures that projects are aligned with the organization's overall strategy. As we go along, it is really important to make sure that that those objectives that I mentioned earlier, that we have like 3 key objectives that we shoot for within our major portfolio, that they are always adhered to. Developing a portfolio backlog. A backlog is just a list of potential projects and programs that an organization could undertake. This provides a starting point for prioritizing work and helps ensure resources are used effectively. Prioritize the work based on value. Once a portfolio backlog has been developed, work should be prioritized based on its value to the organization. This requires clear understanding of the organization's business goals and objectives, always pointing back to those, to that organizational strategy, the business goals, and their objectives. Use Agile methodologies. So not only should your portfolio be Agile, but within your portfolio, your project management, or your you should be using Agile methodologies such as Scrum, Kanban. They can be used to manage the flow of work throughout the organization. It enables teams to work more collaboratively and respond quickly to changing requirements. Monitor and adapt. Agile portfolio management requires ongoing monitoring and adaptation. This ensures that projects and programs deliver value to the organization, that resources are used effectively. And of course, fostering collaboration. Collaboration is key to the success of Agile portfolio management. This requires regular communication and collaboration among teams and stakeholders. In summary, Agile portfolio management is a dynamic approach that enables organizations to navigate the complexities of today's business environment effectively. Organizations can respond swiftly to market shifts, optimize resource allocation, and deliver value efficiently by prioritizing flexibility, collaboration, and iterative decision-making. The key principles of Agile portfolio management, including adaptability, transparency, and continuous improvement, foster a culture of innovation and enable organizations to stay ahead of the competition. However, implementing Agile portfolio management comes with its risks and challenges, such as resistance to change, the need for effective communication, and coordination. Organizations can mitigate these risks and achieve successful outcomes by following best practices such as clear strategic alignment, regular communication, and iterative planning. Agile portfolio management has the potential to revolutionize how organizations manage their portfolios, drive innovation, and deliver value to customers, ultimately leading to long-term success in today's fast-paced and ever-changing business landscape. Determining whether Agile portfolio management is right for your organization requires careful consideration of various factors. Here are some of them. Agile methodologies thrive in a culture that values collaboration, transparency, and adaptability. Assess whether your organization has a culture that's conducive to embracing these principles. Complexity and uncertainty. Agile portfolio management is well suited for highly complex and uncertain industries and projects. Evaluate whether your organization operates in such an environment and whether agility can provide a competitive advantage. Stakeholder engagement. Agile practices emphasize regular and meaningful stakeholder involvement. Consider whether your organization has the willingness and capacity to engage stakeholders consistently throughout that whole portfolio management process. Team structure and skill sets. Agile portfolio management relies on cross-functional, self-organizing teams. Assess whether your organization has the necessary team structure and especially the skill sets to support this way of working. And then risk tolerance. Agile approaches embrace adaptability. That's the third strike for me on that word. And learning from failures. Evaluate your organization's risk tolerance and willingness to experiment and iterate. Change management. Adopting Agile portfolio management requires change at various levels within the organization. Determine whether your organization has the capability and resources to manage and facilitate change effectively. Ultimately, implementing Agile portfolio management should be based on a thorough assessment of your organization's unique circumstances, goals, and readiness for Agile practices. Consulting with Agile experts or conducting a pilot project can provide valuable insights and help with informed decisions. With that, what questions might you have?